Hello, I'm Monsina Tarajan, the editor-in-chief of the Voyager. It's now been over 1 year since the Parkland shooting. Since that time, 1,200 children have been victims of gun violence in the United States. The editors asked the staff to comment on gun safety in the nation. These are their words, unedited.
I'm Olivia Covington, and I'm a senior. I think that it was very courageous of Dix to stop selling semi-automatics to people under 21, knowing that they would receive lots of backlash. What does someone under 21 need a semi-automatic for anyway? Unlike many of the other mass shootings, Parkland has not been one that was forgotten. They have accomplished many things, such as persuading the governor of Florida to sign a sweeping gun safety bill, influencing major companies to cut ties with the NRA, and getting students all over to speak up against gun violence. Although these things are great, we need bigger change with gun regulations and also more awareness towards mental health issues in school.
I'm Ava Hancock, and I'm a junior. As much as we would like to, it's impossible to predict the future. 1 second you're in math class half asleep, and the next you're huddled into the corner of the room crying for your life. Teenagers are cruel and life is difficult. These things drive shooters to do what they do. Those two things will never ever change. What can change is our legislation. So though it's extremely important to address those issues and to give students the mental help they need, I think that gun control is even more important to put an end to these tragedies. America needs to stop sitting by and watching the same events unfold in front of our eyes over and over again. For once and for the sake of the people, we need real action.
Hi, I'm Haley Osbrook, and I'm a junior. I feel that although I have no sympathy for what any of these young shooters did, I really do feel bad for these troubled kids themselves. It makes me feel so sad when I hear a psychologist say that these kids wish others would just kill them or they wish they could kill themselves. This really hit me hard out of all the podcasts we listened to in class about the Parkland shooting. I think it's so important to support and help these violent kids because they are suffering just like anyone else with a mental illness, and we can't just not help these kids and ignore them and their feelings because their feelings matter too. They might act like monsters, but they are humans too. They are people. I really care for people. I really care for all humans no matter how bad they are, and I think that people that have that mindset like myself should be helping these kids and trying to understand them. And I know what it's like to suffer from depression, which is what most of these kids suffer from. I know how bad it can get. I really do. I feel for these kids. I don't think that any of these gun control laws produced by government will change anything. I believe that we must focus all of our attention on the people who pick up these guns, aim, and shoot at other people. Guns don't shoot people. People shoot people. Guns aren't trouble, but people are.
Hi, my name is Shrishti Ramesh. I'm a senior. What Parkland proved to the world is that no matter how many signs there are, there's nothing that can stop a determined person from hurting another. That's why gun control, mental health screenings, and improved security measures are so important. Of course, it's necessary to make sure that no child is suffering in the way that would make them angry enough to commit a violent act, but the truth is that it's impossible to always catch it before it happens. What is possible, though, is to make it more difficult for the act to actually be committed.
Hi, I'm Nicole Hall, and I'm a senior. Since the Parkland shooting, many have been rallying against the gun laws of America. However, rarely does one see a rally being held for mental health. Schools check for students' physical health, but not their mental. Mental health has been the topic of many more discussions lately, as it should be, but only brushed upon when related to shootings. Stricter gun laws are very important, but mental health screenings for students, especially behavioral students with a history of troubles, are even more so. The despair overcomes them to purchase guns from a broken system and inflict the same despair that grips them so tightly towards others. Still, other students wander their hallways, planning on silencing the chatter in their hallways permanently. We, as a people, need to understand that depression is rising, and with it, tragedies.
Hi, I'm Michael Mazziata, and I'm a junior. The Parkland shooting will not be forgotten as it took the lives of 17 young people with bright futures ahead for themselves. This mass shooting gave the recognition that we need to have more strict gun laws, considering that there have been a lot of mass shootings at schools lately. Gun control needs to be controlled by the government and just not have them doing nothing, as the innocent lives of many teenagers are being took. You may think that gun laws are fine and that's your own opinion, which you're allowed to have, but think about how you would feel if you had a brother or sister or a younger family member huddled in the corner of a school crying, afraid they're going to lose their life because a man is banging on the door with an AK-47. If that makes you feel any sort of different way, then really think about the gun laws we currently have.
Hi, this is Cynthia Mias, and I'm a graduate of 2021. Unfortunately, Parkland has suffered a lot of loss during the shooting that took place there. It's surreal. 17 dead. I know for sure that teachers and students did not take precautions as seriously in being with their kids, at least not in this school. So many kids have had these thoughts of destruction and self-destruction. What's almost as important as gun loss is also open communication and counseling for students all over. I do think we need mandatory counseling whether you're okay or not. We don't take mental illness as seriously as we should. In my eyes, don't overlook major signs or any cries or help that any students may be causing.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Steele, and I'm in the class of 2021. When someone gets into a car accident, who is blamed? The driver or the car? No car is blamed for a rear end, so why is the gun for a shooting? Investigators look at cases from every possible angle. Every motive available, every witness, every suspect. Guns are one angle of shootings. People being another. The people who use guns to take the lives of others away are the problem.
I'm Sophie Ferguson, and I'm a senior. I think Parkland was a call for attention to mental health. Red flag after red flag could have prevented the tragic event. Mental health has become such an issue, yet it takes 17 lives in order to finally shed light on the depth of the problem. It can be stopped if we just pay attention to the people who need our help.
Hi, I'm Lauren Casol. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Eastern Voyager. After a year has gone by, the Parkland shooting in Florida still makes me teary-eyed. Like any mass shooting, it leaves you thinking, why would anyone want to do such a thing? The issue of mental health diseases need to be addressed, and people need to be more aware of what the symptoms are. Interviews with Nicholas Cruz's mother have revealed that she had no idea her son was depressed and capable of doing what he did. She thought he was his normal and happy self, but that was not the case. The more we educate people on mental health diseases, the better off our society is for preventing tragedies such as Parkland. Looking back a year later, it is clear that mental health issues need to be addressed.
Hi, my name is Julia Kirk, and I'm a senior at Eastern Regional High School. Many individuals that involve themselves in mass shootings have experienced childhood traumas and felt like outcasts throughout their lives. While violence of this stature can often be prevented, the signs that someone may be prone to this behavior typically goes overlooked. There should be more emphasis placed on treating mental health instead of pushing the issue to the side. I think that there need to be stricter firearm regulations with thorough background screenings. I believe that semi-automatic rifles, like the one Nicholas Cruz allegedly used in the Parkland shooting, shouldn't be available to the general public. I wholeheartedly support the gun control groups that have gained more funding and nationwide attention, and I hope that they use their platform to solve the epidemic of gun violence across the United States.
I'm Eric Horn. I'm a senior. It's an unfortunate reality of our society that depression among young people is at an all-time high. Depression is unique for every person. Some feel a lack of motivation, others feel overwhelming sadness, and some just feel desperation and a desire to end their suffering. Some want to leave a legacy, which the media enables. A school shooter becomes a celebrity overnight. We need to stop giving shooters attention and focus our emotions wholly to the victims and their families. We should not know the name of Nicholas Cruz.
Hi, I'm Jake Fritz, and I'm a junior. It is horribly saddening that society is forced to do so much background research and place bans on guns for customers. Dick's Sporting Goods has discontinued the majority of its assault rifle selection, in addition to implementing an under-21 ban for the entire gun selection due to the massacre at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. Owner Ed Stack has personally decided to do so, revealing that he cried when he heard a parent of MSD discussing the loss of their daughter. I feel that Stack did the right thing. A select few disturbed students have caused such alarming notice of terror in schools. While I agree with Stack's decision, I think that more people should take action and look into some of these kids' issues before the horrid events. If more people took action, schools would be a safer and healthier environment.
Hi, I'm Josh Myers, and I'm a sophomore. School shootings always bring up a tragic ending, and this was shown in the Columbine shooting. The mom of the shooter, Dylan Klebold, was devastated. Dylan was a gifted student, but went down the wrong track, and his mother believed that she underestimated the pain her son was in. She didn't try to pursue help as hard as she could. This is the same for many other parents around the world. They might think that their child is okay, but inside, that child could be having many problems. That's why it's important for parents to actually know how their kid is feeling, because they could stop something terrible from happening, like the Columbine and Parkland shootings. I feel as if parents don't do a great job of actually looking to see if their child is okay. They might see the kid smile once, and they might think that they are fine, but in reality, they could be hurting inside.
Hi, I'm Sasha Tunham, and I'm a junior at Eastern Regional High School. The Parkland shooting has become a monument. It has ironically marked February 14th, the day meant to spread love with grief and murder. This monument is bringing attention to the pressing need to end gun violence. As March for Our Lives co-founder Jacqueline Korn explains, student activists are speaking out for those who can't because their voices were silenced. Due to mounting pressure from activists all over the United States, lawmakers are finally realizing the desperate need to evoke lasting change and stop the gun violence.
Hi, my name is Andrew Schinkel, and I'm a freshman at Eastern Regional High School. All across the country, school shootings have ravaged our nation and caused irreplaceable damage to so many families. Soon after the Columbine shooting occurred in the late 90s, the shooter's mother was so out of touch with her troubled son that she hoped he was not one of the victims. As we know, Dylan Klebold and an accomplice killed 12 students and a teacher on that day. Yet after Dick's Sporting Goods experimented with removing guns from their stores entirely, there was a massive outcry from the Pennsylvania public, who claimed that the act is an infringement on their constitutional rights. Regardless of this, I think that humans can reign supreme over guns in the long run. If people actually care about and monitor the status of the mentally ill in our society, school shootings will become a thing of the past, and those who desire to keep their firearms for self-defense will not be slighted.
My name is Jacob Saphir, and I'm a junior. On February 14th, 2018, high school students, just like us in Parkland, Florida, went to school on an average Valentine's Day, unaware of what would happen to them later that day. Just like us, many girls were probably wondering if they would ever find a man. Unprepared students were likely stressing about tests they had that day. Most were probably counting down to the end of the day, and so on. They were normal students with normal problems until the shooting. They never suspected that by the end of the day, almost 20 of their fellow students and teachers would be slaughtered at that very place. This isn't about guns. Weapons will always exist no matter what we do. Instead, it represents the broken society we live in. How has our society changed in the past decades that has driven people to commit mass murder? Why didn't our parents live through the era of school shootings, but we are? We need to find out what has changed in our society, how we can stop it, and what we can do to stop people from having thoughts of senselessly hurting one another.
My name is Shreya Gowda, and I'm a senior. Mass shooters seem random, acts of terror that plague our country unpredictably. But this is not true. Mass shooters can be detected. Mass shooters often suffer traumas or mental illnesses like depression, but never receive treatment, hence why they kill themselves in shootings. A prime example of this is the Columbine shooting, where 13 people were shot and then the shooters killed themselves. The mother of one of the shooters was unaware that her son was even depressed, but even without reading his suicide journals, there were signs. 14 months before the shooting, he started getting in trouble and was even arrested for breaking into a van and stealing equipment. But this does not mean we should villainize or dismiss those with mental illnesses. Depressed individuals often do not want to hurt others. In the special case of school shooters, depression turns to anger and blame. In an attempt of revenge, these individuals start to associate with the school shooters on television, looking for a cause. There were 230 incidents after Columbine, but there should have been none. Gun control laws should be stricter. Legislation should mirror Ed Sachs Moose, the CEO of Dick's Sporting Goods, who went on an activism tour and restricted the guns available to the public. People should not be dying like they are, and this epidemic should not be treated as random when it is mostly preventable.
My name is Jessica Bonamassa, and I'm a senior. As humans, we always have a choice. We have a choice of ignorance, and we have a choice of awareness. Did you choose to help the woman at the grocery store to pick up her belongings, or did you pass her by? Have you spent 2 minutes talking with someone sitting alone at school, or have you passed that responsibility on to someone else, hoping that they'll make a difference? Have you sparked up a conversation with someone, or did you decide to text your friend back instead? Did you compliment that stranger's outfit that you really liked, or did you realize you were too afraid to speak up? Mankind is screaming for help. You may be afraid to choose, but you always have a choice. I speak to you, asking what you have done to make you think of what you have done. What have you done to help the person next to you? What have you done to help your friend solve the problem that they were having? Did you take an extra minute to tell someone that you appreciate them? After school shootings, people pretend to know what they're speaking on. They pretend to know the victims like they ever met them. We will never know the victims, just like you'll never know the classmates that you ignore every day in passing. We will never know unless we choose to know. Choose to be aware that we are all humans with the same feelings and similar goals. If we looked at our similarities first, all of the differences would weed themselves out.
Hello, I'm Victoria Lapinson. I'm a junior at Eastern Regional High School. Heroin is illegal and we have an opioid crisis. Murder is illegal and 351 homicides were committed just in Philadelphia last year. As tragic as events like Parkland are, making guns illegal is not going to solve the problem. Gun reform is understandable, as there is no need for non-military individuals to have automatic and semi-automatic weapons. But in all honesty, most Americans who share their opinions on gun reform are ill-informed, even many politicians. What's the difference between a magazine and a clip? A silencer? That's a term that would make real gun owners laugh. It's actually called a suppressor. There should be strict laws about who can buy guns. If you are going to own that type of weaponry, it needs a purpose. For those with a history of mental illness, violence, drug abuse, or a criminal record, they may not be fit for that responsibility. An innocent woman with a restraining order against an abusive and violent ex that threatens her, she could use a handgun. Bottom line is that Parkland, Vegas, San Bernardino, and more are all preventable tragedies, but violating the Second Amendment isn't the answer.
Hi, my name's Sammy Frankel, and I'm a junior. Every single person has the fight or flight response in them when put in a situation that gets their adrenaline pumping. So, what would you do if you were put in a situation like Parkland and it was your school getting shot up? That is a question no person should ever have to think about because of the hundreds of ways this tragedy could have been prevented. I shouldn't have to look for where I would hide or how I could escape from a school if a shooter were to come into my place of learning, wanting to wreak havoc. My mom shouldn't have to say, if there's a shooter, you run out of there as fast as you can before I leave for school in the morning. There are so many things that should not be happening, but sadly, they are. What should be happening is change. We need it.